Good night, how everyone doing tonight. God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Irma Michelle Spirit Divine. I'm here to give you a word all tonight, and the topic gonna be unshakable confidence. Unshakable confidence. You know, first I'm gonna read from Psalms 27:3. Though an army besieges me, my heart will not fear. Though war break out against me, even then I will be confident. So other words, that no matter how your storm is, and no matter what come against you, you got to have unshakable confidence. You got to have the unshakable confidence, knowing that your heavenly Father is on your side, that He's fighting for you, He protecting you. Because that's how David was. David said, no matter what was coming against him, he always had enemies fighting against him. He was able to have unshakable confidence, knowing that he had God on his side, on his behalf, so he was able to stand on his ground and do what he had to do because God was right there guiding him, protecting him. So you got to have unshakable confidence. So this story is about when you have an army against you on your left hand side, your right hand side, and you still standing, standing on your ground, without fear, holding on and not giving up, knowing that God is standing with you, that's unshakable confidence. So in every circumstances and challenges of one life, have an unshakable confidence in God. Not in yourself, in God. Because we can't have confidence in ourselves. We will fail. Our flesh will allow us to fail every time. So I'm learning that unshakable confidence is not built on someone. Now you don't have that kind of unshakable confidence in someone. Don't even have it in something. Don't have it in a place. But our God. That's the only place you're gonna place your confidence in. So in a difficult time, what I learned that God alone is a firm foundation for rebuilding confidence only in Him. Cause God tell me all the time, keep your eyes on Him, not nothing else. Cause nothing else cannot help you. Nothing else can get you through your journey. Nobody but God. And you have to keep your eye on Him, stay focused on Him. So as we face uncertainty, and you will face those time to time in your storm and in your trial, uncertainty, things that you don't even understand. You don't know how God working, you don't know how God moving, but you're gonna keep your faith and you're gonna keep your confidence, even though you don't understand, you know, so that you can never be taken away. So God, the only one who will never leave us or forsake us, you know. So David had many enemies, like I was telling you earlier. David had many enemies, chasing him, besides Saul, chasing him at one time or another. So he was no stranger to danger, but he also knew that God was powerful and knowledgeable enough to toss the plane or other that might have to harm him. So he always was protected by God. He kept enemies. He kept Saul behind him, for a long, almost half of his life. Because he got under Saul when he was a boy, when he got anointed as a boy. And that's what Saul took him under his wing. So he knew that God could interfere on his behalf anytime. So that's why he kept on unshakable confidence. No matter what came against David. He knew that God was gonna interfere anytime when he felt like they were about to harm him in a serious way. He knew God was right there, that he was gonna step in. So he knew that God had a plan for him. He knew God had a plan for his life. Even though God had anointed him since he was a boy, he still wasn't not in position to be king over Israelite. So that's what David said. God knew. He knew God had still had a plan for his life that he never had stepped in position yet. So he knew God was gonna protect him. See, when God got a plan for you, He gonna protect you until you step into that position. You know, so He kept protecting David until David stepped into his position because God promised that to him. You know, and so he know God was gonna interfere on his behalf. You know, so he knew that God had a plan for his life. That he knew that God had his best interest. You know, in heart for him. Now he put his faith in the hands of God. You know, who will be his stronghold. You know, will be his stronghold. Now you remember there was a little boy also. You know, he beat that big giant down, not with his strength, but with God's strength. You know, he know when he went out there with unshakable confidence. You know, confidence knowing that he was gonna tear that giant down because he know God was his stronghold. He know God was right there by him. He know God gonna give him the strength to tear that giant down. So he went out there with unshakable confidence. You know, a little boy having that big faith. You know, he had so much confidence in himself because he know his strength was coming from God. You know, so God who will be his stronghold. David had unshakable confidence. You know, so we have to have unshakable confidence when God called us to do a big job that we know we not qualified for. You know, God can do stuff like that. You know, you think you can't do this. You think you can't do that, but God thinks so. God know you can do it. You know, God will give you a big old job that you're not even qualified for. You know, and then but God will use us and equip us. You know, to proceed that big job. You know, He did it for Joshua. He did it for Moses. You know, he did it. We're gonna talk about Joshua also. You know, he did it for Joshua. He also did it for Moses. You know, that was a big job God had given Moses to do. The Israelite multiplied so big. It was thousands of the Israelites. You know, and he had to manage all of them and lead them to their promised land. So let's talk about Joshua on chapter 1, 5 through 6. So God had motivated Joshua to be a leader. See, God had noticed Joshua when he was under Moses. You know, he was one of the spies. Had went spy out the land before they took the land. You know, he came back. The first group said, "Oh, they're too big. We gonna be looking like grasshopper under them." But Joshua came and said, "Oh no, we could take them. We could take them out." You know, and God noticed how the confidence that he had. You know, he had unshakable confidence, and he came back no matter how big they was. You know, he was like, we could take them out. We got that. You know, so Joshua, God motivated him, and God the one that chose Joshua. You know, cause Moses wasn't able to finish taking them to the promised land. You know, so God had to find somebody else, and God noticed Joshua, and God the one that chose Joshua. God had said, no one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I'll be with you. You know, I will never leave you nor forsake you. And God had told Joshua. See, God's motivating Joshua to be a leader. He told Joshua, you're going to be a leader. So God told him to be strong, you know, be courage. Because you will lead these people to inherit the land I sworn to their ancestors to give them. You know, so there was a big job that God had given Joshua. You know, because Joshua was a spy under Moses, and Joshua had unshakable confidence. He came back. Oh, we could take them down. You know, we could take them down. When the first group said, "Oh no, we can't take them. They're too big. You know, we gonna look like grasshoppers under them." But Joshua said, "No, we could take them." You know, Joshua had confidence, and see, God noticed that. You know, so Joshua had unshakable confidence, you know, to lead the Israelites to their land. Because, see, that was a big job. You know, it was so many of the Israelites. That was a big job. And God is a good motivator. He motivated Joshua, you know, and Joshua listened to what God said. And then afterwards, he told his men to get everything ready. You know, we about to lead the Israelites to their land. You know, so When you are not qualified for a job, God will motivate you like He did Joshua, and He will equip you for that job. You know. So also with Moses, we're gonna talk about Moses too later. For First Psalm 71:5-6, for you have been my hope, serving the Lord, my confidence since my youth. He's talking about David. You know, God been in David's life since he was a boy. You know, from birth, I have relied on you. You know, David been relying on God for a long time. He relied on God when he had to go out there and beat that giant down. He had so much unshakable confidence. He went out there sticking his chest out because he know he even told the giant, you know, when I take you out, I'm gonna take your head off. You know, because see, David was working in the field. He'll tear you up with his bare hands. You know, so when we feel weak and lack of confidence, you know, we must rely on God. God's strength in the face of our limited ability, you know, I can do all this through Him who give me strength. We can't do nothing in our flesh. You know, we can't do nothing in the flesh. You know, we have to we have to have confidence and strength. God give us the strength to do what we need to do because we don't have the strength of our own, and we can never rely on our flesh. Now with God, all things are possible. You know, with us, it's not impossible, but with God, everything is possible. You know, nothing is too hard for Him. You know, and all these things, we are more than a conqueror. You know, through Him who love us. You know, now God's power is made perfect in our weakness. You know, God works better in our weakness. You know, in our weakness, we be want to throw in the towel. We want to give up. You know, and God will motivate us. God see when God got a plan for your life, like He had for Joshua, like He had for David. He gonna give you confidence, and He gonna give you strength to keep on moving forward. You know, so God's power is perfect in our weakness. And if you are in a situation, make sure you don't rely on your own limited talents or your skills, you know, but that you place your unshakable confidence in the limited of God. You know, because sometimes we can have good skills. You know, everybody keep telling me that. You know, you got good skills though. Don't think you don't need God and rely. I always need God. I'm gonna need God for the rest of my life. You know, I don't I don't depend my skills on what I'm supposed to be doing on my journey. You know, and that's what I'm telling everyone too. You know, depend your skills and your talent. You know, we gonna need God for the rest of our life, because God is the one gonna continue on guiding us through our journey, through our life. You know, David was connected with God all the way to his last days. You know, he know God inside and out from he was a little boy. You know, so unshakable confidence. One, when God give us a big job and it may seem too big, and you think you're not qualified, you know, for it, and you feel like you are out of your comfort zone. You know, sometimes you might get scared. You know, but with God, anything is possible. With God on your side, you can do anything. You know, because God will give you the knowledge, He'll give you discernment, He will give you everything you need to complete that test. You know, so that's just like Moses. Moses had a big job to do also. You know, he had to go get the Israelite to release them. You know, but he was scared at first. That was a big job God gave him to do. He started using excuses. Well, I don't talk well. You know, I don't speak well. You know, so you know, you want me to talk to Pharaoh? You know, can't you find someone else? You know, he started guessing himself. You know, he felt like it was too big for him. You know, and so God had to comfort him. You know, God said, well, what about your brother? You know, your brother can speak for you. You know, so God will find ways, you know, to get you to do what He needs you to do, because we might feel like we can't do it, but God can. God know what we can do. God know what we can do. He know Moses can do it. He know Aaron can do it. He know that y'all can do it. Because he will not chose you. He chose Moses when he was before he was born. You know, God picks certain people to do certain things. You know, and sometimes we'll feel like it's out of our league. We'll feel like it's out of our comfort zone. We'll feel like it's too big. You know, but have unshakable confidence and motivate yourself. That you can do it. Say yes, you can. Be strong and courage. And rely on God to get it done. You know, rely on God. He will guide you. He will equip you to do the job. You know, we have to rely on God. He will guide you. And two, we see that God gave Joshua a big job. Where God had to motivate Joshua at first. To do it. Joshua had unshakable confidence, and then Joshua ordered his men to get ready. We about to go lead these Israelites to their land. You know, so God motivated him, and next thing you know, he was ready. He was ready to lead the Israelites. So three, Moses had a big job. You know, to stand up to Pharaoh. To let the Israelite go. But Moses was scared, saying that he don't speak well. But he got confidence and he just did the job. He did the job. Even though God had to get his brother to go along with him because Moses was scared, he was using all kind of excuses. But he did it. He did it. You know, he didn't went all the way through the end. Because he was being disobedient when he didn't follow the instruction when God gave him the instruction with the rock and the water. So no matter how big the job is, no matter how big the job is, you might have an army against you. You know, you might have all kind of stuff against you. This and that going wrong. 10,000 on your left, 10,000 on your right. But no matter how big your storm is, have the unshakable confidence, and rely on God. God is our strong refuge. Have unshakable confidence that you can do it, you know. And I'm talking to myself too. When I first got in this, I was so scared. I'm talking to myself too. We all might get big jobs and get scared, but you got to have that confidence and say you can do it. And whatever you can't do, always talk to God, because He will guide you. You know, I was so scared at first. God been guiding me through this whole process. And I done learned so much in the process. You want to learn and you want to grow in your process. Not stay on the same level. So have the unshakable confidence that no matter how big the job is, always say you can do it. But don't never think you can just do it on your own flesh. Always rely on God. Because God will give you the strength, God will give you the knowledge, the discernment, He will give you everything you need to do that big job. Look at Solomon. Solomon had, how big that temple was that Solomon had to do? David still helped him, draw the design, get him the supplies and everything. That took a long time for him to build that temple, but he did it. His dad had to keep on encouraging him also, but he did it. Sometimes you need a little encouragement to do certain things, because sometimes you be in your comfort zone all the time, and sometimes it's good to get out your comfort zone, you know, and do what you need to do, because a lot of time I had to get out my comfort zone, sometimes we can be in a comfort zone for a long time and certain things be like, oh no, but we can do anything God said we can do, we should be able to do it, and wherever you can't do, it's no problems to talk to God and ask for help, You can ask for help. You can ask for guidance, because that's what he here there for to guide us through our journey. He protect David until David got in position. He protect Jesus until Jesus got into his purpose. Jesus was a baby, and they still wanted to kill him. you know. But God kept on telling Joseph, you go here. Next thing you know, you go there. Okay, he done died, go back to there. God kept on protecting them because God had a purpose on Jesus' life. And he never stepped into it yet. So God gonna protect you until you step foot into where he wants you to be at. He will take Jesus all the way to the end. Until his purpose, he complete his purpose. He protect David until David step into his position. So a lot of his prophets, will have big jobs to do, and they all did it. They all did it. They all completed. So just have the unshakable confidence. Don't never get scared like Moses did and using excuses. Just have that confidence and go out there. Rely on God's strength, not your own strength. So that's all the word I have for you on tonight. Y'all have a blessed night, and I'll see y'all in the next video.